All right, so what's good? My name's CJ. So this is just going to be a quick story about empty nose syndrome and my story with empty nose syndrome. And so my whole life I've had allergies, I've had sinus issues. About 4 or 5 years ago, it it really started messing with my sleep, and I just would wake up and both noses, both nostrils would be completely clogged, just completely dripping, just completely clogged. Anyone that's had allergies and know what I'm talking about. And so, at this point in my time in my life, I had good insurance, and so I went to see an ENT doctor about what was going on, and so and went and seen one, and he's like, you know what? They took X-rays of everything, of my whole nasal cavity, and he suggested that I start trying the saline rinse or the saline flush. I think it's called just like the irrigation system, where you'll fill up a little pot, tilt your head back, and that saline rushes in, and so a lot of times will clear it out. It's a temporary fix. And so I tried it a couple times, and then I went and seen him. I'm like, yeah, it's somewhat working, kinda. And he's like, yeah. He's like, you probably should get surgery. I'm like, oh, really? And so he suggested that I get, because when they took the X-rays, also, I had a deviated septum, and so he suggested that I get surgery to get the deviated septum correction, and then also they were going to do a secondary surgery where they go down and trim the turbinoids inside your nose. And what the turbinoids do is they actually sense the humidity inside the air. So, like if you take a breath, feel that fresh air coming through your nose. Part of that is done by the turbinoids, and so he suggested that, and so I went and did a little research on the internet, on YouTube, and some other platforms on the surgery, and then one thing kept coming up, and it was called empty nose syndrome. So when I went and go back to see him, I brought it up, and I was like, "Hey, dude, what about empty nose syndrome?" And this is where I should have just I should have done completely a lot. I should have gone onto Facebook and done a lot more research and went down more. But because as soon as I brought up empty nose syndrome to him, he got a little defensive. Not like chaotically defensive. Like it was a red flag, but he pulled it off. Okay, the little con artist pulled it off. He's like, oh, no, no, that's old surgery. That's old. The only old methods can cause that. And I'm like, okay, cool. I took his word for it. Because at this point in time in my life, I think this was like during COVID or right before COVID. I didn't realize how corrupt and evil big pharma was, in big surgery, big health, the mainstream systems they have, and so I just trusted him. Okay, and so anyways, I ended up getting the surgery done, and then as I'm having my post-op or my post-treatment, I go to see that same doctor, and they put these big splints in your nose, and you get them taken out, and just blood, like hella blood dries up and whatnot. And so they take them out, flush me, and this is where I finally or not finally, this is where I realized he was full of shit. Okay, so they take the clots out, and as he's walking me outside or whatever, he's like, oh yeah, you just gotta breathe in and out, get used to that, and that fresh air. And he's like, just breathe in. You're not used to it, whatever. And he's like, but make sure you follow up and start doing the allergy treatment too. And he's like, or they'll just grow back. I'm like, what the fuck? They'll just grow back? And then this is where what really caught me though. He said something, because when he first suggested this surgery, he's like, yeah, it worked great for me, man. I had it, I loved it. But he said something to me out in that parking lot where he's like, yeah, I don't know, man. He said something where he said that I never had this surgery. And I bet, and it didn't catch me until I got in my truck, and I'm like, that motherfucker, like, what the fuck? But what was I gonna do? I already had the surgery. So, anyways, 6, 8 months go by, and it was the best thing I ever did in my entire life. Like I said, I suffered from allergies and congestion for as long as I can remember. Allergies too, and I could finally breathe the fresh air. I felt the air coming in my nose. It was so great. And then, like I said, 8 months later, okay, I'm at work. I remember this to the day. I thought I was getting sick, but I just had this random, like, felt like I had to clear my throat, like, all day. And it was affected from stuff I ate, or I had eaten prior. I didn't catch it at that point in time, but I was just constantly trying to clear something in my throat, and nothing would come out. And I'm like, go see the doctor. They didn't know. And then, I went and seen one doctor. He's like, yeah, it's probably silent reflux. And so that was the first symptom of many symptoms that hit me. And the next symptom, probably like 30 days later, a couple weeks later, a month down, there was this anxiety. I'd wake up in the morning, and anxiety was so freaking insane. It like almost felt like I was gonna die. It was that bad. I've had anxiety my whole life too, just like social anxiety, you know what I mean? But this was like, holy fuck, something's wrong with me. I'm like, I've drank caffeine coffee my whole life, but normally like 1 or 2 cups a day, nothing crazy, like, and so I'm just like, what the hell's going on? Is it the caffeine? And so, and then the next symptom that happened was the brain fog. Just brain fog hit me, and it's just like, it literally feels like your whole brain is fogged up, and you just can't think, and have a hard time concentrating on anything. And then I'd start in my fingers and my toes. I'd feel like they were heavy, like I could feel my heartbeat through them. Feet aches. And then the sleep. I was getting good sleep, through that 6 to 8 month period, and then the sleep started to digress, and it just. And I didn't know what was going on with me, okay? And so I went down this rabbit hole, trying to figure out what was going on with me. I thought it was stomach issues because a lot of empty nose syndrome symptoms actually mimic like stomach issues, like H. pylori and some of these other stomach bacterias. And so I went and during this period, before I figured out what was going on, it totally wrecked me. I thought it was like something I had internally. I was gonna die, and so I quit. I was running my own company at that point in time. Ended up having to quit that, go work for several other different employers just to make it work. Basically, it destroyed me. You know what I mean? Like it just, I was doing heating and air conditioning, and then all these. Just changing a filter would just like mess me up, and it's just like, whoa, dude, like something's wrong with me. And so, anyways, long story short, I thought it was a stomach issue because I was like, what the hell else could it be? And so went and got an endoscopy, and they shoved that camera down my throat. And then when I got the results a couple days, or actually right then, the doctor said, yeah, everything looks good. You got a little reflux, you know what I mean? And throughout my whole life, I've never had reflux my entire life, ever. Out of all the crazy hot things that I'd ever ate in my entire life, never had reflux once. And so at that point in time, when I got to the results and I knew that I didn't have anything wrong with my stomach, I kind of just like internally it hit me. I'm like, what else could it be? What else had changed? And so then I got back online and started researching on all the symptoms of empty nose syndrome, and that's what it was. And so this was 4 or 5 years ago. Most of the symptoms, there's a couple other symptoms I could go through, like mechanical breathing. That was probably one of the hardest to overcome. I don't have the heart palpitations. Also with the anxiety, like I was telling you, it actually caused high blood pressure, got really scary. Like when all these symptoms were at their climax, I guess you could say, or at the peak of the worst points in time, I was like basically like low end of heart attack type thing, or thing level. And so all that went away, okay? So the only thing that I suffer from right now is the sleep. I got this surgery to help me with this sleep, and now my sleep is still fucked, okay? And so I've overcame everything. The brain fog goes away, or went away. My blood pressure's normal. And so yeah, that's where we're at. And the only reason I'm making this video is I started making music a year or two ago. It's always been my dream. I always loved music. But in order for me to claim my YouTube videos, I have to have another channel to claim it. And so there's a lot of things that helped me. And so if you guys comment or whatever, want to know more information, like, believe it or not, video games help me. The biggest thing to overcome with this is the psychological part of it. And so when this first happened to me, it was like I was mechanically breathing. Like every breath I took in with my nose, I knew about it throughout the whole day. So imagine just going throughout your day and doing your normal things that you do throughout the day, whether it's washing your hands, working, whatever. You are aware of every breath you take, and that was the hardest thing, and I still am, but I don't really care anymore. I don't have a choice. And a lot of you that are new to this empty nose syndrome, a lot of people don't make it. If you go down the rabbit hole, a lot of people commit suicide. They just can't handle it. But I've had a traumatic life my entire time, and I'm not going to let this take me. I had a really abusive childhood. One of my ex-girlfriends killed my child through abortion. I was an alcoholic after that, beat that, and then this. And so I refuse to quit. I don't care what happens. I don't care if my heart gives out because of this shit. I don't care. I won't give up. And so if you guys have empty nose syndrome and you're watching this, I would suggest don't go to the Facebook groups and all that. It's just a negative shithole, and it'll just bring you down. The only thing that you can do is positivity. That's like one of the major things that can pull you out of this. And so, and on the sleep, I've tried everything for sleep. If you can take pot, go ahead and use it. I was taking edibles and smoking a lot of pot on the indica side, and that helped. But it's really being stoned all like that really started messing with my thoughts and whatever, and me not being able to keep control of my thoughts. So I just got off the pot. There's another pill that was working. It's called Quviviq. That actually worked for 3 or 4 months, and I tried to get off it so I could try and hopefully sleep naturally, but it didn't work. And so I'm gonna try. Tonight I'm gonna start taking Quviviq again, and I'm gonna try and take Quviviq for a year. But if the Quviviq doesn't work, I'll get on benzos before, because I have to sleep. You know what I mean? No sleeping will kill me, and so it is what it is. And so anyways, I just wanted to make a video feels good to kind of get this off my chest, because if anyone, you guys that are watching this have actually experienced this, is like, you go to tell people this shit. Like I tell people like the last 4 or 5 years, try and explain a little bit of it, what's going on with me, and just they're so clueless when it's just like I'm just a walking shell of who I used to be, and it's sad. You know, like I said, I would say I've recovered probably 60%, and another one of the main symptoms too is some people never recover from it too, is you can't sense that air coming inside your nose, so it feels like you're suffocating all the time. And so all these people look at me and think I'm normal, and it's just like, dude, you have no idea. Like, I'm hanging on by a thread. And so to all you guys out there that have suffered from that, I know what you're going through, and you can do it. You know what I mean? So just don't go silent into the night. You know what I mean? Like, you can chop off my nose, I ain't giving up. I ain't tapping up. God's gonna have to call me home before that happens. So anyways, like I said, I made this video so I can claim my music. If you guys leave comments or want me to go into, this is just I basically freestyled this video. I didn't write anything down. That's probably why I'm jumping around a lot. If you guys would want me to make more videos on how because I haven't 100% overcame it. Like I said, it's the sleep. If I get over the sleep, dude, it's game over. I'm gonna have a decent life. Start popping out some babies, hopefully, and just enjoying it. But I just got to get that sleep down. And so, if you guys want information on how I did it, let me know. Leave in comments. Last thing I'll say is, if you do have it, you got to preoccupy your mind to get over the mechanical breathing. And I did that by playing video games for like 4 to 6 months straight. And it might sound crazy, but I don't think I could have made it through that without that period where I just gamed. I'd get so involved in the games that I just forget about my breathing. And there'll be times that I go like 30% of the day and don't care about the breathing. But so yeah, it's an uphill battle. But anyways, that's all I got.
Appreciate you guys.